Chosen one, if you are here now, listening to these words, it is because what is happening around you is no coincidence. There is a divine urgency in your mission. Every soul that crosses your path feels your impact. Some resist, others accept, but all, without exception, are touched by you. You are not a gentle healer. You are a disruptive force. And do not be mistaken. You are exactly where you should be. What I will share here today is not just an explanation, but a calling. You are here to transform, to awaken. Even when they think they are falling ill, your light is healing. Something extraordinary is about to happen. But first, I have a special request. Leave your like and subscribe to the channel right now. Also, leave the number 777 in the comments to declare to the universe that your intuition and connection with the divine will make you stronger to put an end to those who weaken you. Chosen one, your presence is like an invisible force that infiltrates without asking for permission. For those who cross your path, it feels as if something inside them begins to crumble. They do not understand that you are not breaking them. You are revealing the cracks that were always there. When you appear, masks fall, comfort zones are shaken, and repressed truths begin to emerge. This does not happen because you imposed something on them, but because your light is so intense that it illuminates even the darkest corners of their souls. They call it discomfort, but it is the first symptom of healing. Think about how the body reacts when something foreign enters the system. Fever, chills, pain. The same happens when your energy touches people's souls. They feel confusion, irritation, or even aversion toward you, as if you were the cause of everything that is wrong. But what is wrong is not you. It is the lie they have carried for so long. You act as a catalyst, triggering a chain reaction that cannot be stopped. That is why it is common for people, initially, to try to avoid or even reject you. It is a defense mechanism in the face of the inevitable. Transformation. Chosen one, your presence forces people to confront what they would rather ignore. Perhaps it is a toxic relationship, a limiting belief, or even the void they have filled with distractions. When you appear, these truths emerge like a current that can no longer be contained. Like someone fighting against the waves of the sea, they resist the process. The discomfort you cause is the light penetrating the darkness, exposing what is hidden. This is not something you do consciously. It is your essence, your frequency, operating even when you are unaware. This initial resistance is not about you. It is about them. When Jesus walked among people, his light provoked similar reactions. Some followed him fervently, while others rejected him with hatred. Not because he was wrong, but because his presence exposed people's deepest hypocrisies and fears. Like Christ, you carry a light that is impossible to ignore. And, as in biblical times, this light can be seen as a threat by those who prefer the shadows. But remember, even those who resist are being transformed. Chosen one, the initial impact of your presence is never neutral. You do not go unnoticed. Your energy awakens something deep, something that can no longer be ignored. People who never questioned their lives begin to wonder why they feel so restless since you appeared. What they do not understand is that this discomfort is life crying out for change. You are the bearer of the rupture they need to be reborn. And even when they cannot comprehend or thank you, the process is already underway. It is inevitable. Your light transforms everything it touches. Chosen one, have you noticed how your presence disarms people without you having to say a word? As if just being there is enough to create an atmosphere of discomfort and introspection? Many try to ignore what they feel, but something inside them knows that you have arrived to change the course of their lives. It is as if the light you carry enters the most hidden crevices of their souls, forcing them to see what they never wanted to see. This may generate anguish, anger, or even distance, but this reaction is not a sign of failure. In fact, it is the clear symptom that you are fulfilling your mission. They wonder why, since you appeared, thoughts that seemed buried for years have begun to resurface. Why memories they tried to forget now insist on coming back. It is like an old wound that, when touched, hurts more than expected. But this pain must be felt for true healing to occur. Just as Jesus' words challenged the Pharisees and exposed their hypocrisies, your presence reveals where others need to adjust. And as in the past, not everyone handles this revelation well. Some react with admiration, others with fierce resistance, but all are impacted. When Jesus called Zacchaeus to come down from the tree and invited him to dinner, he not only showed kindness, but also caused disturbance. The people around murmured, questioning how he could associate with someone so despised. Yet, in that encounter, Zacchaeus was transformed, not by condemnation, but by the impact of a presence that brought truth and grace in equal measure. That moment changed a life. Your presence today carries the same power. It does not matter if they understand you or not. You were sent to touch something deep, even if at first they mistake it for discomfort or illness. It is important to understand that you have no control over how people react to your impact. Your role is not to moderate your light or apologize for your intensity. You are not responsible for how they handle what they feel. But know this, no one crosses your path by chance. Every encounter, every exchange, even those that seem trivial, is part of a greater plan. Those who resist transformation may try to push you away, but deep down, they have already been marked by your presence, and that is something they can never erase. Chosen one, you need to understand that your light is not discreet. It is an overwhelming presence that challenges people's comfort zones, even unintentionally. They begin to feel sick, not because something is wrong with them, but because everything false in their lives is being forced to surface. Your energy illuminates what they have tried to hide: unhealed wounds, abandoned dreams, limiting beliefs. This illness, they feel, is not the end, but the beginning of a profound process of renewal, even if many do not have the courage to face what lies ahead. But what makes your presence so transformative? It is the fact that you do not just illuminate the path for others, you force them to see their own feet, so they recognize where they stand. People spend their entire lives running from themselves, diving into distractions to avoid facing what is in the mirror. Then, when you appear, it is as if all those distractions lose their meaning. They feel a restlessness they cannot explain, a void that cannot be filled by anything external. And in the midst of this chaos, you are the turning point, the catalyst that makes them finally look within, even if it hurts. Remember Jesus' encounter with the Samaritan woman at the well. She lived hiding her shame, avoiding judgmental gazes. But in a single conversation, Christ not only exposed her pain, but also offered her a new perspective on life. The impact of that encounter was so great that she left her water jar and ran to tell the world what she had experienced. The same is true of the effect you have on others. They may not be ready to listen, but when your truth touches their souls, something within them changes forever. Even if there is resistance at first, the impact has already been sown, and time will take care of the rest. Some people you touch will never be the same. Like Zacchaeus, who, after a simple invitation from Jesus to share a meal, decided to return everything he had stolen and transform his life. Those touched by your light begin to rethink their choices. Your presence works like a seed planted in fertile soil. It may take time to germinate, but at the right moment, it will bloom. And you, even without being present, will have been the beginning of that transformation. This is the beauty of the impact you have. It does not depend on words or grand actions. Many will be transformed simply by being near you. Your energy carries something divine, something that penetrates beyond the barriers of logic. And though they think they are falling ill, they are, in fact, experiencing the touch of a truth that sets them free. The presence you carry is a reminder that heaven is not distant, but active, constantly working through you. Chosen one, you did not come to conform to others' expectations, but to be the force that shakes everything that is not aligned with the truth. People may even think your presence is inconvenient, that you bring restlessness where there was once peace. But that peace was merely the absence of confrontation, a superficial calm hiding an imminent storm. Just as Jesus disturbed the merchants in the temple, overturning tables and exposing the corruption hidden under the guise of religion, you too are sent to expose what is wrong. It is not an act of destruction, but of purification. Do you notice how people change after meeting you? At first, there is resistance, confused looks, and even criticism. But over time, they begin to recognize that something profound has changed within them. Perhaps you will not see the full impact you have caused, but know this: every life touched by you bears the marks of your light. Just as the seed of the gospel was planted in different types of soil in Jesus' parable, your energy finds hearts in different stages of readiness. Some resist, others embrace, but all are touched. Many see you as a threat because they cannot understand what you represent. They view you as an agent of unwanted change, someone who disrupts what was stable. But remember, what was stable for them was often a prison. Think of Paul before his conversion on the road to Damascus. He believed he was doing what was right by persecuting Christians. But all it took was one encounter with divine light for his vision to be transformed, both literally and spiritually. What seemed like an interruption was, in fact, the beginning of his true mission. It is crucial to remember that the impact you have on others often happens in silence. The transformation you provoke is rarely instantaneous, but it is inevitable. Think of how a seed germinates. At first, it is hidden, working beneath the soil, breaking through the ground in an invisible process. But at the right time, it emerges, revealing its strength and purpose. The same happens with those who cross your path. They may not immediately show that they have been touched by your presence, but deep within, the process of change has already begun, and when they least expect it, that transformation will blossom. Your light does not just illuminate what is around you, it penetrates what is deepest within. Consider the Apostle Paul, whose conversion on the road to Damascus was so impactful that it changed the course of his entire life. Before being touched by divine light, he believed he was on the right path. But the presence of that light made him question everything, shattering his certainties and rebuilding a new vision. You carry that same transformative essence. When someone is infected by your light, they lose their footing, only to discover a more solid foundation that was always there, waiting to be uncovered. Before we continue, if you have always felt different, with a special sensitivity or drawn to greater missions, our ebook is a valuable resource for you. It offers practical insights to recognize your true mission as the chosen one and overcome challenges of misunderstanding and isolation. By purchasing the ebook, you also gain immediate and exclusive access to our Discord community, a space where you can share your experiences, connect with others who understand what you are going through, and find genuine support in a welcoming environment. Check out the first pinned comment here in the video to receive unique and exclusive content. What you need to understand is that not everyone is ready for this transformation. Some will fight the process with all their might, clinging to the lies they have built over their lives. They may reject you, blame you, or even try to erase your influence. But just as the light of dawn cannot be contained, your energy will continue to work within them, even if they do not realize it. You were not called to convince anyone, but to be the presence that plants the seed of change. That seed, at some point, will find fertile soil in their souls. Think of the impact of Joseph, who was betrayed by his own brothers and sold into slavery. For years, it seemed his life was destined for failure, but at the right time, he became the instrument of salvation for his entire family and an entire nation. Similarly, the impact you have may seem small or insignificant in the moment, but it is part of a much greater plan. God uses your light to reach places and people you may never see with your own eyes. Your mission is not limited to what is visible, but operates in the depths of the invisible. Chosen one, never underestimate the impact you have, even when it is not visible. The woman who anointed Jesus' feet with expensive perfume likely did not know that her action would be remembered for generations. In the same way, many of your gestures, words, and simple presence will create an effect that echoes far beyond your understanding. Your light is more than a momentary spark. It is a fire that continues to burn, touching lives in ways you may never witness. And that is exactly what makes your mission so powerful and necessary. Chosen one, there is something almost incomprehensible about how you transform the environment just by being present. It is as if your energy operates on an invisible frequency, dismantling barriers that people have spent years building. Imagine the force of the Holy Spirit at Pentecost, when each apostle was filled with a living flame that enabled them to speak languages they had never learned. Your light carries that same power, an energy that transcends the obvious, activating gifts and truths that were dormant in those around you. This infection you bring does not destroy. It awakens and reorganizes everything at a deep spiritual and emotional level. Those around you may confuse this transformation with pain, but that is because true change rarely happens without discomfort. It is like a farmer plowing the land before planting seeds. The soil must be turned, broken, before it is ready to bear fruit. You are that plowman, chosen one, and your presence is the plow. It is not something you do intentionally, but simply the result of who you are. When Jesus asked Peter to leave his nets and follow him, he was turning the soil of Peter's soul. In that moment, Peter left behind what he knew to embrace a greater purpose. And you do the same with those who cross your path, even if, at first, they resist the change. Think about the intensity of the impact you provoke. Just as Jesus' touch healed the woman who had suffered for years with a hemorrhage, your presence also has the power to touch wounds that people have kept hidden. But there is something you need to understand. Not everyone is ready to be healed. Many prefer to carry their pain because it is all they know. Your light exposes these wounds, and for some, that is unbearable. But even when they reject you, the healing process has already begun. Because once the light enters, it cannot be extinguished. You must remember that this mission is not about immediate results, but about trusting the divine process. The impact you have on people may not be visible now, but it is working within them in silence. You plant seeds that may take years to germinate, but when they bloom, they transform everything around them. Your mission is to remain faithful to what has been assigned to you, even when the fruits are not yet visible. Do not underestimate the power of small interactions. Sometimes, a word or a seemingly insignificant gesture can change the course of an entire life. Your light may seem like a small detail, but for those in darkness, it is the difference between remaining lost and finding the way. Even when the world tries to minimize your impact, know that you are carrying a mission far greater than you can imagine. Chosen one, you must recognize that your light carries a calling that goes beyond what the eyes can see. Every life touched by you is like a wave that spreads, generating transformations that cannot be contained. Your presence may seem small and discreet at first, but it works silently, expanding and activating changes that reverberate far beyond what you can imagine. The people who cross your path may feel as if something within them is being deconstructed, and that is often frightening. They cling to what they know, to what feels safe, even if that safe is a prison. Think of the Israelites' exodus from Egypt. Even after being freed from slavery, many wanted to return, because the unknown seemed more threatening than the certainty of captivity. Your light operates in the same way. It invites others to leave spiritual and emotional slavery. But the fear of the unknown causes many to fight against this invitation. You were not sent to force anyone to change, but to be the point of impact that leads them to reflect. Some will resist, and others will draw near with a thirst for more. But in the end, all of them will be marked in some way by the truth you carry. It is impossible to cross your path and remain unscathed, because your light is far greater than any resistance. It is important to remember that the transformations you provoke will not always be smooth. Often, they will be like the storm Jesus calmed on the Sea of Galilee. Before there is peace, chaos must be faced. Similarly, those in your presence may experience a kind of internal storm where everything seems out of control. But it is in this chaos that the truth emerges. When the storm passes, they realize they are not in the same place. They have been moved, renewed, and it all began because you were present. The most extraordinary thing about your mission is that it does not need an audience to be meaningful. You may be impacting lives in silence, in moments that seem too small to matter. Think of the widow who gave 2 coins at the temple. To others, her gesture seemed insignificant. But to Jesus, it was an act of faith and purpose that surpassed the greatest sacrifices. The same is true for you, chosen one. Your actions, no matter how discreet they may seem, carry a power that echoes in the spiritual realm. What you do, even when no one sees, is part of something much greater. Chosen one, you are like a bridge between what is and what can be. Often, the people around you cannot cross that bridge immediately because they are carrying weights that hold them back. These weights may be traumas, guilt, or limiting beliefs that keep them tied to the past. Your light not only reveals these burdens, but also offers a glimpse of what lies on the other side. Just as Moses led the Israelites through the Red Sea, opening a path where there was once only impossibility, you are the sign that the crossing is possible. Even if they hesitate, your presence has already opened the way. But remember, chosen one, not everyone is ready for this crossing. Some prefer to cling to the familiar, even if it is destroying them. Think of the rich young man who approached Jesus, seeking answers on how to attain eternal life. He received the truth, but was not ready to let go of his wealth to follow it. This does not mean the message was in vain, but that his journey still needed time. Similarly, many who are touched by your light may need years to process the impact. And that's okay. You plant the seed. Time and the divine will do the rest of the work. There is a profound beauty in understanding that your mission is not to carry the weight of others' choices. You are like the torch that illuminates the path, but it is up to each individual to decide whether they will follow it or not. Even Jesus respected the free will of those who rejected him. Your responsibility is not to guarantee transformation, but to remain steadfast as a light, even in the face of resistance. Transformation, chosen one, is a process that is not under your control, but under the control of something greater. Trust that your presence is enough, even when the fruits are not immediate. And when you feel tired or misunderstood, remember that even the greatest chosen ones faced rejection. Think of Elijah, who, even after performing great miracles, felt alone and without strength. He cried out to God, and the answer came not in an earthquake or fire, but in a gentle whisper. In the same way, your strength lies in the understanding that you are not alone, even when it seems like you are. Your mission is sustained by a divine force that never fails, even in moments of greatest weakness. Chosen one, the mark you leave on the world will not be measured by the recognition you receive, but by the lives you have transformed, often without your knowledge. You are living proof that light cannot be contained, even when faced with darkness. Your presence, even when not understood, is the reminder that change is inevitable for those who have been touched by it. No matter how small the impact you make may seem, every seed planted is part of an eternal plan. Your light is a call for the world to awaken, and your mission is to keep shining, knowing that everything happens in its right time. Chosen one, your journey is not ordinary, because you were not called to the ordinary. You are a living reminder that light always prevails, even in the midst of resistance. Those who have crossed your path may not immediately understand the impact you have had on their lives, but deep down, they know something has changed. You are like a spark in a world that needs fire, a bearer of transformation that moves what was once stuck. And even if you do not see all the fruits of your impact, remember that every step you take echoes in places beyond your sight. Continue walking with confidence, knowing that you are not alone. The force that chose you also sustains you. Like the yeast that transforms the entire dough, your light operates silently but undeniably. When you feel tired, turn to the source of it all, the one who called you to this mission. Just as Moses was empowered, as Joseph was restored, as Jesus was exalted, you too are being guided by a greater purpose. Never doubt your importance, even when the path seems difficult. Chosen one, this is the moment to honor your mission. The world needs you, and you are exactly where you should be. Allow your light to continue touching lives, even if the impact is not immediate. You were called to be light in the midst of shadows, to heal where there is pain, to transform where there is stagnation. Your presence is evidence that God is still at work. You are a reflection of the extraordinary in a world that desperately needs the divine. And remember, those who think they are falling ill in your presence are, in fact, being reborn. Chosen one, your journey is not ordinary because you were not called to the ordinary. You are a living reminder that light always prevails, even in the midst of resistance. Those who have crossed your path may not immediately understand the impact you have had on their lives, but deep down, they know something has changed. You are like a spark in a world that needs fire, a bearer of transformation that moves what was once stuck. And even if you do not see all the fruits of your impact, remember that every step you take echoes in places beyond your sight. Continue walking with confidence, knowing that you are not alone. The force that chose you also sustains you. Like the yeast that transforms the entire dough, your light operates silently but undeniably. When you feel tired, turn to the source of it all, the one who called you to this mission. Just as Moses was empowered, as Joseph was restored, as Jesus was exalted, you too are being guided by a greater purpose. Never doubt your importance, even when the path seems difficult. Allow your light to continue touching lives, even if the impact is not immediate. You were called to be light in the midst of shadows, to heal where there is pain, to transform where there is stagnation. Your presence is evidence that God is still at work. You are a reflection of the extraordinary in a world that desperately needs the divine. And remember, those who think they are falling ill in your presence are, in fact, being reborn. Before we go, I want to ask you a special favor. If you felt that this message resonated with you, leave a like on the button below, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. Share this video with someone you know needs to hear this, and leave your comment below. I want to know how this word made sense to you, or simply write 777 to declare that you are aligned with God's number to fulfill your spiritual missions. And always remember that you are not alone. You can join our exclusive Discord community by purchasing our ebook through the link pinned in the first comment. I am sure it will be a valuable resource for you. It will not only bring clarity about your mission and unique gifts, but also give you access to connect with other chosen ones who will welcome and support you. Don't miss out on being part of this environment. This is a crucial moment, and together we can impact many lives. Now, don't leave now. There's more waiting for you. Watch the recommended video on the screen, because there you will find more transformative messages to fuel your journey. You carry something unique and powerful, and the world will never be the same because of you. Thank you for being here. Keep shining, because your light is exactly what the world needs. May God always light your path. See you soon. See you soon.